Hello, my artists. Welcome to one of our super fun draw with me's. So, who loves this guy? I know everybody. So, we are going to draw Stitch today, and we are going to draw him probably without a hat, and then I'll show you how to add that on. But that way you guys can draw him normal and then add whatever you want anytime this video's, throughout the year. So it's not just during the holidays. All right, so you have your piece of paper and a pencil. I would definitely recommend drawing with a pencil first. Then you can go over it with your marker if you want. I'm going to use marker so that you guys can see it. And let's start. So we are going to first draw. Okay, so we're going to kind of situate our shapes first so that we have enough space. So we definitely want our stitch to be nice and big. So I'm going to start with his head shape first. And that's going to be pretty much in the middle. And it's going to be a nice size. So let's go. It's not a perfect circle. It's almost more like an oval. So let's get that going. And I'm going to leave a little space. You can close yours up. But we have this little fun hair wiggle that we do. So you can add that for his little fur that sticks up because he's got so much character. All right, next we're going to make his big round nose. So much bigger than a quarter, think about. And that is just going to be a circle. Next, let's get these eyes nice and big. So he has this outer shape around his eye, and it's sort of, let me show you on here. I'm going to come almost to the edge of my oval, and it's sort of flat at the bottom, and then it curves up, and it's kind of straight, and then it follows that curve of his head shape. And we're going to repeat that over here. So it's a little bit flat at the bottom, curves up, follows that head shape around, and back down. And those are really big. So these three shapes take up most of that space in his head. Okay? And remember, as the video is going, if you need to make an adjustment with your pencil, so let's say your nose was too small, it's okay. Just draw a bigger circle around what you had and just leave the first thing you drew. We'll erase all that later, okay? Now we need this big circle-y shape inside that outer shape. And another line inside there to give it that little eye, like he's that reflection. And if you wanted to add another little circle-y shape, you could do that next to that. And we're going to leave those white, and this rest of it would be colored black. All right, next we're going to move to his mouth. So look where my fingers are. We are going to stretch that mouth almost to the edge of our oval shape, okay? So I'm going to start with a wide smiley face. So I'm going from one edge of his eye to the other eye's edge. We're going to make it really wide. Then for his mouth, it's kind of a curve. So I'm going to curve down, come back up real close to his nose, and then back down in a curve and end up on the other side. So I'm going to curve down, up, down, and then meet that other end. Okay, next let's add this little tongue in here, and it's going to kind of do another little curve like that. So I'm going to curve up, and it's going to dip down a little bit and back up, and then come back down. And that is his big giant tongue inside his mouth. And Stitch has those funny little teeth. So some are pointed and some aren't, but they're kind of small. And we'll do maybe 4. That's just like a little triangle, right? Okay, next let's get these big giant ears. Stitch has some really big ears. So with his ear, we're going to start at the oval, loop big and around, and then we're going to come back where we started, okay? And that's sort of important because we make these other lines that kind of look like the outside of the ear folding over. So this is going to be colored in so it looks like the outer ear is folding up and over. And then this is the inside of the ear, okay? So I'm going to come way over here and just bring a little curve line up like that. And then we're going to match that on this side, except one little thing. We have to remember, I have to remember because I'm drawing with a marker, so I need to make a little notch on the outside of that ear. Okay, so I have to remember that. I'm coming up and around, and then I'm gonna pause right there, and I'm just gonna make a little, kind of like a slanted V. And then I'm gonna remember to come close to where I started. There we go. And same thing on the that outside little shape. So I'm just curving a line to meet up with my curved ear I just drew. Okay, we are going to move on to his, oh, you know what? Let's add his little wrinkly spots. So these little lines give some expression to our fun Stitch because you know he's full of mischief. He is into everything. So we give those little lines to make it look like his face has some expressive. Okay, next we're going to make his little arms coming down. Okay, so we're going to start way on the sides. We're not starting super close to the center. We're going to come all the way over to almost the side of his little head shape. And I'm just going to come down, and it's like a big giant U almost. Okay, and we're going to match that on the other side. And we want to make a little curved line down here where his belly would be. And let's make these fun little claws coming off of his arms. So that is just a little oval. I'm going to do 4. 1, 2, or we could think of it like little U's, but they connect to his arm shape we've just drawn. And his little claw coming off. Oh, he's looking so good so far. Okay, next we're going to fit his little feet like he's sitting down so we see the bottoms of his feet. Okay, we're going to start with a pretty big circle shape right next to that arm on each side. Let's do that. Sometimes it's easier to draw one side and then the other side to try and get them as similar as we can. So we also call that symmetrical because it is pretty much the same on both sides. Now I'm going to make a smaller circle inside of that one. And that just gives us a spot to make our different colors because Stitch has these different blues on his body. So that gives us an area to make one blue different from the other blue. Now let's make his little toes, which will just be an arc, a little curve line, 4 of those. And hopefully you're making them big enough so that we can add a little tiny U shape. And that's just giving a little extra detail. Those can be left white, like his little toes. Okay, now we're going to make a curve line from his body down. Just bump into one of those toes, and it's okay to just stop wherever you land. Wherever that is, you can just bump right into those toes and stop. Now, my little stitch needs an extra line down here. Can you see I have that down here too? So that just shows that edge of the bottom of his leg. So whatever yours looks like, you can just bring a line from that curve of his foot back to his leg, wherever that lands for you. And then that will look like the bottom and the top of his leg. And we can add just a little tiny curve back here between those two lines to give it an extra little, like it's his body's back there. Okay. All right, you guys, I think that's it for our fun little Stitch character. So from here, you can do whatever you want. So if it's the holidays, like it is right now for me, we have fun little holiday treats around Stitch with his little Santa hat on. And if it's not the holiday, you can make your Stitch wherever you want. Let's definitely give him a horizon line. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I'm going to bump into him and then lift my pencil or marker, whatever you're using, and we're going to jump over him. We're going to air draw. And then when I get to this side, it should match pretty good. Okay, and that gives us that horizon line that divides the sky from the ground. And remember, my artists, whatever you're coloring, you are coloring all the way up to that horizon line for the ground, and then all the way down for the sky. We're not just doing a little bitty strip of blue up here and stopping. That's not what our sky looks like. If you guys look outside, you see that beautiful blue sky hits the trees or buildings or whatever you're looking out into. That color goes all the way down, okay? We don't have a big band of white left over. Now, how about if I show you guys our hat? So if you want to draw a hat, you can, okay? If you have your Stitch's head, let's see, I'm just going to give myself a little guideline for the head and the ears. Okay, you can do some little curves, and they're just some swoopy little curve lines. It's almost like a cloud. So my little curved poof of the Santa hat actually comes behind his ear. So I have a little extra poof popping out behind the ear. Then you can maybe on the ear up a little bit, start that Santa hat curve, and wherever it ends up, you're going to make a little poof on the tip of that hat. And I'll just act like mine's going in front of the ear to show you guys how to close it off. You want those lines to come closer together near that poof, and then you're going to have the end of that Santa hat. Now for that Christmas tree, these are fun. This is a fun way to make a Christmas tree. I'm going to start with the beginning of a triangle. And from there, I'm going to just make little U's connected. Then I'm going to do the same thing and sort of make my lines a little bit more diagonal. And again, swoop, swoop, swoop with that little curvy line. And maybe one more time, depending on how big you want your tree. Swoop, swoop, swoop. Then your little trunk. And if you want to do a star, we're just going to start with a triangle shape. And then we're going to do a sideways V, and then drop those V's down so they connect. Okay, and let me show you one more thing so that if you wanted your stitch to look like this, we can add a square. And however you want to do your presents, you can, of course. I'm going to make a double line so that I can color in. And then I'm going to use my bump and jump. So I'm stopping at that line because this ribbon is going to look like it's going under this ribbon. Okay. And then we can just do a little curve on the top and a nice big swoopy curve with a smaller one inside, and it makes it look like ribbon. Okay, how did we do? I hope that you love your fun Stitch. He's such a character, right? He gets into all sorts of things. He is so fun to watch. So you guys are going to finish your picture however you want. And you can color it with crayon, with colored pencil, with marker, with watercolor, whatever you have at home. And maybe you can get some fun art supplies as gifts sometime soon. So I can't wait to see what you guys make, and I hope you love practicing that stitch. Because remember, the more you do it, the better you get.